The Greater Centerville Historians organized in the year 2000. The purpose of the organization is to preserve the history of the Township of Centerville, Cleveland and surrounding area. Gerald O'Neill, Charlie Bauer, Richard Wiegand, and myself, Kathleen Sixel, were the founding members. In 1831, the territory south of Green Bay was sold to the U.S. government by the Native Americans who had title to the land. The consideration was the promise of a reservation in another state. The Township of Centerville was established in 1850. The township had a village called Centerville. The reason for the hamlet's original name of Centerville was, in the days of the Indians, there was a trail along Lake Michigan between Manitowoc and Sheboygan. This heavenly spot was exactly at the halfway mark, so the early white man gave it the name Centerville. In 1849, the village of Centerville was surveyed and laid out in lots and blocks. The village of Centerville was renamed Hika when the Postmaster General informed the village leaders that another Centerville was located in the state. When it became time for Centerville to be renamed, a judge in Manitowoc by the name of Albert Schmidt would take kids hiking. The judge said, "You can't call a town hiking, so why not make it Hika?" Thus, the village of Centerville became Hika. In the early years, Centerville had the vision of becoming a lake port. To encourage ships to dock there, 2 piers were built into Lake Michigan. Many German immigrants arrived by schooners, and the village began to grow. The village had a brick factory, stores, schools, a Lutheran and a Catholic church, mills, saloons, blacksmith shop, and a fire department, and a brewery. When the brewery was built, the settlement began to flourish. But when fire destroyed the brewery, the largest industry, there was no longer a need for the harbor facilities. So ended this chapter of the development of Hika. 2 miles west of Hika, another settlement known as St. Wendel began to grow. It had a Catholic church, a general store with a connected dance hall, and a post office was also located in the complex, a funeral parlor, and at one time a motel. With the clearing of the forest, tilling of the land began. This prompted the exporting of lumber and grains. The farmers of Centerville looked forward to the building of a railway since they had a serious problem transporting their products. In 1873, the Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western Railroad was built between the settlements of Hika and St. Wendel and was named Centerville Station. In 1880, Centerville Station was renamed Cleveland after President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland, at that point in time, owes its growth to the fact that the Township of Centerville was a rich farming community, and farmers from miles around would bring products to be shipped by rail or ship. The village of Cleveland had several grocery stores, a furniture store, a funeral parlor, several saloons, Lutheran church, hardware stores, several gas stations, newspaper, photographer studio, several car dealerships, cheese factory, several feed mills, livestock yard, and lumber yards. The biggest business was the Cleveland Co-op, which offered many types of services. With the failing of grain crops, the farmers began dairy farming. With the abundance of milk, another industry began, cheese and butter making. Local cheese factories dotted the countryside. One-room schools were usually built near the cheese factories, so children would have a ride to school when farmers brought their milk. In 1958, Hika, St. Wendel, and Cleveland incorporated into the village of Cleveland. In 1968, the Cleveland Elementary School was built. The Township of Centerville has seen many farming changes, but dairy farming is still the primary vocation. Today, Cleveland is known as the seat of Lakeshore Technical College, which offers an educational alternative to 4-year colleges. An ancient proverb states, When an old person dies, a library burns to the ground. These words were the inspiration for organizing the Greater Centerville Historians. We hope to preserve as many memories as possible.
Okay, we have a young lady here, and she is going to introduce herself and give us some things that we're going to be talking about this evening, plus the rules and regulations that she gives out as a general thing for our group here. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I live on County Trunk X going towards School Hill. It is June 13th, and it was about 90 degrees today. And Michael Jackson got the innocent verdict today. He was found innocent, so I thought that was some good news. We're a pretty laid-back group, but we do have a few rules. If you want to tell something about, like, the co-op, raise your hand so it gives Jerry a little opportunity to get over to you. So that part of you, we want to have all the information we can get. Always state your full name, and always state the person's full name whom you are speaking about. Oh, and for 4th of July, I'm going to my cottage.
Good, good, very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm over at Matthias, 1018 Juniper Street, Cleveland.
Thank you.
And what I'm going to do on the 4th of July, go up to my cottage and work and maybe do a little fishing.
That fishing is going to be good.
Not really.
And who do you have here, please?
I'm Edward. I live on 913 East Madison, Cleveland.
Okay.
On 4th of July, I really don't know what I'm going to do.
Probably
Too
like
far
I. There we go. And who do you have here, please?
Eugene Weiser, W1575 County Line Road,
Okay.
Cleveland, Wisconsin.
Okay. And any plans for the holidays?
Yeah, plan to go to 4th of July parade in Sheboygan.
Okay, very good. Very good, thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Audrey Ertl. I live in St. Nazianz now, but I used to live in the Cleveland, west of Cleveland.
Okay.
And for 4th of July, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Probably stay in my apartment and enjoy the air conditioning.
There we go. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Marion Schultz. I come from the Schwarzwald area,
Okay.
and we're going to the parade in Sheboygan, 4th of July.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Edmund Schultz. I'm from the Schwarzwald area, and I'll be maybe driving a 6-wheel bicycle for
Oh.
Lions at the
Really?
Sheboygan Parade.
Wonderful. Good for you. Glad to hear that. And who do you have here, please?
Alfred Weiser. I live on Highway 42, straight west of here.
Okay. And what are your plans for the big holiday?
Depends on my youngsters.
Okay. Wherever they want to carry you or cart you to, right?
Yeah.
Good. And who do you have here, please?
Eddie Free, 1105 Linden Street. I'm staying out of mischief for the holidays.
Staying out of mischief. Stay off the road, huh?
Darn right.
And who do you have here, please?
Melvin, and I live in 871 Linden Street, and I'll probably be pulling weeds in the garden.
Okay. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Jim Coogle, and my wife Mary, and I'm speaking for her because she can't talk.
Okay.
She lost her voice. We live at 2742 South 23rd Street, Manitowoc, and for 4th of July, we're going to have a large family gathering.
Wonderful. Good for you. Good for you. And welcome. Welcome, Mary. And who do you have here, please?
Cathy Wagner, and I'm at 334 East Washington Avenue in Cleveland, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't know what you're
I
doing.
don't have any plans, but I'm sure I'll be seeing some family members.
Okay. Thank you very much. And who do you have here, please?
Walter Crest, and I live at 350 East Washington, and don't have any plans yet for the 4th.
Okay.
The kids will do something for me.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. They'll be there for you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Ruben Rosenthal. I live in Plymouth.
Okay.
I'm going to the park right in Plymouth.
Oh, okay.
Got them twins there.
All right, very good. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Doreen Rosenthal.
Yes.
And I live in Plymouth, and we have a big picnic in a block from our home.
Okay.
with fireworks.
With fireworks. Well, you can sit on the lawn chairs and enjoy.
Right.
Very good. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Sylvia Gurkey. I moved to Plymouth 22 years ago from Plymouth,
Okay.
and I live right across from the park where the picnic is.
My goodness, another lucky lady. Very good, thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Dorothy Anderson, and I live in Hika, Cleveland, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I haven't thought about 4th of July yet. I think I might go visit my sister who's a patient at St. Mary's Nursing Home in Manitowoc.
Okay, well, that'd be very nice. You'd appreciate that. And who do you have here, please?
Charlie Bauer, Rural Newton, and we'll probably go down to Kohler to see listen to the band down there for the 4th of July celebration.
Okay, very good. And who do you have here, please?
Edith Lutze, I live at 695 East Washington in Cleveland, and I think I'll just be pulling some weeds in my garden.
Oh my goodness, we got two weed pullers here. Okay, my name is Jerry O'Neill, the videographer, and I live in Newton on Range Line Road, and I probably will be, if the weather is favorable, be in my pool in my backyard, and then perhaps take in the fireworks in Manitowoc if it's all available. So thank you very much for all the introductions there, and now we'll get one final thing with, what do you call it, talking while other people are talking?
Okay, we have one other rule. While people are talking, please don't talk in the background because it picks up and you can't hear the person talk. And I also want to thank everyone for coming, especially the former employees of the Cleveland Co-op. That was really nice of you all to show up tonight. We have a little change in plans tonight. Larry and Jennifer are leaving for a trip, so they were not able to show their slides. So we'll have to do it without the slides. And how many of you recognize the people on the photo?
Okay. Could we have identification and somebody point those people out, please?
Okay, let's start with Eddie Free, and he's here this evening.
Okay, we'll start with him. I'll be right over there.
Okay.
Here who has past employment with the co-op, and we've got a picture that was sent out for everybody to see to come to the meeting, and he'll point out all the people that were on that picture and how long ago it was taken.
That picture was taken in 1958 when that bulk truck was brand new.
Okay.
I was the first driver on there. And which is your left? Okay, your left, I'm the first one, and then comes Shorty Zill.
Shorty? No, okay, I gotta have a full name for Shorty.
Edward Zill. He's sitting right down there. And then the guy standing behind Donnie Sixel kneeling down.
Okay.
And the guy standing behind him is Bobby Lorfeld.
All right.
And the guy next to our manager, Clarence Cole.
Okay. And now as far as that bulk feed truck, what kind of truck was it, and did it have some tonnage to it, or what was it used for?
That was the first bulk truck that the Cleveland Co-op had. 1958 Ford that steered harder than the devil. No power steering.
No power steering.
One of them tilt cab jobbies.
Okay. And now, did they fill up, did you have bags of feed in there, or how was it?
It was bulk.
Oh, bulk. Okay. And you had a auger or something to deliver it to the farmer?
2 augers and a big boom you raised up and put it in a bin someplace.
Okay. All right. Very good. And how far a reach did you have with that boom? Do you recall?
Oh, 22 feet.
Okay. Very good. And did you drive that yourself, or?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And where were some of the farmers that you delivered to? Do you recall some names?
One of the first ones was William Ux.
Where was he located?
On County Trail F, west of Haven.
Okay.
And Shorty, where the hell were the rest of them? Where were the rest of them? Willie Ux was the first one.
I think Reuben Common was the very first one.
Oh yeah, Reuben. Shorty he drove the feed truck, and he had delivered that stuff with an elevator before boat truck was in existence.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I'll talk to him for a few moments.
There you go.
Thank you. He'll identify himself and give us a little bit of information. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Edward Zill, Cleveland.
Okay.
And when we first got the bulk truck, Clarence and I went down the highway to get it.
Yeah.
And we took the wives along.
You took the wives along?
Yep, made a day of it. So then after that, Eddie sort of took over the bulk truck.
Okay, okay.
I did once in a while when he wasn't around.
All right.
But as a rule, he did.
So it was a lot easier with that auger arrangement on?
Well, I used to start with the bulk without an auger. With
oh, really?
Little portable elevator. And
No.
where you used to deliver bulk feed at first.
No kidding, okay. So in other words, you had to set up the elevator every time you pulled into the yard?
Yes,
Oh my gosh,
you carried a portable elevator on top of the truck.
yes,
I don't forget how long, I think it was about 16, 18 feet.
okay. So you start, and when did you really start yourself delivering without this new bulk truck? What year did you start?
When I started at the co-op,
Yes,
God, I don't remember the year. I don't know, the very first time, this is many, many years ago.
in the 40s?
I worked there about 3 times.
3 times, okay.
Yeah, I worked in the old mill
All right.
till they found out I was only 17 years old. They didn't call me no more.
Holy cow. Okay, very good, thank you. Young lady will identify herself?
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I want to know what was your position at the Cleveland Co-op in the years that you worked there? If you worked there 3 different times.
I didn't deliver much. We only had one little old truck. Wasn't very big.
Okay,
And most of the time I stayed in the mill. And after a while, then I was on the road most of the time.
okay,
Then after a while, when they started delivering, I delivered bags at first, and after a while first. And then when they had machinery, I used to go down to
okay.
Illinois, Iowa,
Oh, really?
all fertilizer at Green Bay. Used to make 3 trips a day to Green Bay.
Really? Now, this is with machinery, you say?
No, fertilizer out of Green Bay, machinery.
Oh, okay.
Machinery out of Iowa and Illinois.
Oh, okay, okay, very good. Okay, you're a busy man. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm Eddie Free. Yeah, I started at a co-op in 1956.
Okay,
Drove the bulk truck for 2 years, and then I got told Clarence Culp, I'm sick of that darn cold feed mill, and I get a different job or I'm quitting. So then I transferred over to the John Deere department.
okay,
There ever since.
all right, okay. Well, now, when you were in the John Deere department, what was your occupation there? What was your duties?
Mechanic,
Okay,
service manager, monkey of everything.
okay. Very good, thank you. Very good, thank you. Introduction from this young man, and he'll tell us a bit of information. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin, I worked there the spring and summer of 1956. I
Okay.
unloaded many carload with it,
Oh, really?
and I delivered a lot of bag feed with Shorty.
Okay, very good. And how many years did you work there?
Just that one
Just that?
summer.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you very much. He's smiling and he's ready to jump on this thing, and he'll introduce himself.
I'm Jim Coogle. I started working at the co-op in 1968, and I worked in the machinery department.
Okay,
And Eddie Free was my immediate boss,
okay,
and we set up machinery and pick up machinery
okay.
and demonstrated, and yeah, I guess
Now, as far as demonstrated, now, did you take a piece of equipment out to a farm and give them a demonstration of the thing?
plowing,
Okay,
chopping, whatever.
all right, very good. That always can help a sale. Thank you very much.
As you, Jim Weiser, I worked at the Cleveland Co-op from September 1965 till July 1987.
Oh, my goodness, way to go.
Drove shovel trucks, worked in the mill, drove bulk truck once in a while.
Okay. And did you have anything to do with machine equipment at all, or just those duties that you mentioned?
No, not really. It was mainly feed mill.
Okay, okay. And it sounds as though they improved their equipment all the time in the feed mill to put out more production perhaps and things like that?
Right. They had a shovel truck. I drove that for quite a while.
Okay,
Picked up grain, delivered bag loads,
okay,
helped out if they need a bulk driver, extra driver.
sure, okay. Very good. That was and all those years are all in one go, is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, sir. Who's got something to indicate here, and she'd like to identify herself, please.
I'm Doreen Rosenthal. I was Doreen Gurkey.
Okay,
I worked at the co-op for about 4 years, quitting in 1958 when I got married and moved to Plymouth.
oh, okay, so you worked there a total of 4 years in those days?
Right.
And your job again was what?
I worked in the office.
Okay, under who, or was it everybody?
Well, Clarence Cope was the manager,
All right. Okay.
and I also waited on customers in the store.
All right. Okay, that kept you busy all day.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Said she worked a little bit there also. Could you tell us
For my
about that?
dad, I helped him once in a while in the office there,
And who was your dad?
John Gurkey.
Okay.
That's many years ago, and I helped unload feed.
Okay.
My sister and I we did that until we didn't do our schoolwork, so we had to quit.
Oh. And your sister's name?
Sylvia,
Say it one more time.
Sylvia,
Okay. And both of you girls worked on the...
helped Dad unload feed there.
Really?
And once I had a help in the office when he went to a meeting at Wimler's.
Okay.
And a fella came with a big load of feed. The grandpa was both legs off.
Oh
And I
my.
couldn't help him.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Ed Lutze next door, he helped call my dad back again.
So he was
Really
at a,
interesting.
he was at a meeting and had to be called out to go back and help at home or at the mill.
Yeah, the officers told him to come to the
Oh,
meeting at
okay.
Wimler's. They
All
had a
right.
big meeting.
Okay.
So I took care of the office, and
Yes.
then when this grandpa came with that big load of feed, and he was helpless, both legs
Wow,
were off.
yes. He needed help bad.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
That's something I'll never forget.
I'll bet. Well,
I
thank
was only about 16, 17 years then.
Okay, okay. And that was the old mill?
The old mill.
The old mill, okay. And where was that located? Do you know that? Was that on the same location or was that in a different area?
Well, I don't know the new one was built right there then, I
Right
think.
there also? Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
I was just looking in what I reported on last month.
Yes.
Anyway, July 1st, 1924, John Gurkey hired as warehouse manager at 38 cents an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
We're really talking high funding here.
oh, really? Then I had one other thing
Yes.
for the feed mill. This could have been in the 70s or maybe the early 80s. We had a young fella, he was quite big and heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and his name was Dale Schutte, and he worked for the co-op.
Okay.
And the truck, he drove the bulk truck, but he had to go to the I system to get on the other side of Sheboygan to deliver feed.
Okay.
And he got stopped by state patrol because they said our license for that truck was right on the border for the weight that the truck was carrying.
Oh, my gosh.
And when they got back to the co-op, some of the guys were smarting off and they said, Dale should get out of the truck when they weigh it. And that would help. But they decided they would increase the license on the truck.
That's a good story. I like that one. Anything else?
Well, not right now.
Okay.
Oh, there was one thing.
Yes.
Last month, somebody was questioning the fertilizer.
Yeah.
And I said anhydrous ammonia was the liquid fertilizer, and urea was the dry nitrogen. Well, I talked to Gary Becker from Kiel, he's in the fertilizer department, and he said anhydrous ammonia is no longer used. Now they use 5% liquid nitrogen.
Okay.
That anhydrous ammonia was terribly dangerous.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
For the operator or just...
Anybody that if you got it on your clothes, it
Yes.
burnt your skin. And
Really?
they had tanks of water on the anhydrous tanks so that if you spilt anhydrous, you could hose it right away to help prevent some of the...
Wow. Never realized that at all.
Yes. And anhydrous ammonia was very dangerous.
Did anybody ever have an incident where they got...
Yes, we had several. I know Ed Logan was one. Two. Who would, maybe Ed Free could tell you about the other.
I'll certainly do that. Thank you. Sir.
Yeah, I was talking about anhydrous ammonia.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very dangerous stuff, and it's still out in the country. But Ed Logan got burnt one day, and he's the one that went to the doctor, and some dumb doctor put salve on there,
Oh.
You never bandage a hydrous wound. Water's the only thing you can use. Only
Okay.
water.
Oh, my
And it
God.
got worse after that. And the other one was, he's dead already, Mike Wagner. Mike Wagner, he got a bad burn in his arm, and it went right down to the bone too.
Really?
Oh yeah, that burns pretty fast.
Oh, my God. Is it like an acid that it affects that way, or what is it?
It's not an acid, it'll just keep burning in your skin until you get enough water on it to stop it from its burning.
Oh, my goodness.
It'll get right down to the bone.
Did the people who delivered or worked with this, did they wear any special suits?
Oh, no, he had goggles and special gloves and all this stuff.
Okay.
And if you were careful, it was okay.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that was a fertilizer that was injected?
No, that's a liquid that gets injected into the ground to help corn grow faster.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. But they don't use that anymore, apparently.
Yeah, there's still some in use.
Some in use?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
When you get an emergency call like that, they all go berserk and they can't handle it in other parts of the county.
Okay, all right.
They don't know about it that much.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
talking about fire departments now.
Sure, that's right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ed. Very good information. Lady who will identify herself, and she's got some information that's being asked. Go right ahead, please.
Audrey Ertl. And the thing he was talking about,
Could you re-indicate his question to you, if that's workable?
okay, he was asking about something that we talked about the first 50 years.
Yes.
And this was May 15th, 1961. A new bin scale installed, noted to install new streeters fixtures around the outside of the store. And we were just wondering, nobody seemed to know what streeter fixtures were.
Okay.
Does anybody here know what kind of fixtures were installed around the outside of the store?
Okay, thank you.
Eddie Free.
On the floor, and this gentleman will give his identification and perhaps answer that question.
Okay, Jerry, now what do you want to know?
There was a some word streeter?
Streeter fixtures.
Yes.
Yeah, those are fixtures that were put around the outside of the door, outside of the hardware store.
Yes.
They were really around the outside. Some of those were awnings in the inside, and some were blocking off some windows. And look up streeter and ought to be in the dictionary. You'll know what it's all about.
What was it used for?
Decoration. Make it pretty. There was no purpose for it.
No purpose for it?
Jim, do you remember him?
Jim, you know.
I didn't pay much.
As he's holding a picture, and he says he can identify a few things.
Hi, yes, I'm Jim Coogle.
Throw all over again? We can edit this one out. Okay, we got a gentleman here who is going to identify himself. He's got a picture that he's holding, and it seems kind of unusual. Go right ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Jim Coogle.
Jim.
I worked in the machinery department, but the picture I'm holding here is, I believe, the 50th anniversary when we had celebrated Midland, and we had appliance sale going on at the time, and
Okay.
this was a promotion here. We had like a stuffed pig.
Oh, okay. It looks pretty.
on top of a freezer. And I think on that photo, maybe you can see the manager, Clarence Kolb. Maybe not this one.
On this one here? Okay, just let me get in there. Yes, I can.
Right there.
Okay. All right, and that again was a promotional thing for,
It was
for the 50th year of
anniversary
of the business then? Okay. And what year was that? Do you remember when that took place?
1975.
Must have been 1970, because I have a 60th year ad here, and that was 1980, January 1980.
Okay, 1970?
Must have been.
Okay, very good.
I
Okay.
have a question, Jim. What did they do with the pig? Did they give it away, or was it just a make-believe pig?
Guess the weight, you won the pig.
And, okay, that's what I thought, there was some contest,
Guess
right?
the weight.
Okay.
Who won the pig? Anybody remember?
No, I didn't. Yeah, no idea who won the pig.
Okay, very good. As far as other, can you tell us also, I know we have tractors, we have feed, we have all kinds of things that they sold. Now, you mentioned appliances. I didn't realize they sold all kinds of appliances.
We had everything, fuel, feed, fertilizer, and machinery.
Okay.
The full line, and clothing.
And clothing.
Oh yeah, there was clothing.
Tools.
And tools.
Tools.
Yeah, all hardware.
Oh my gosh. And like lawnmowers and also?
Yes, it was complete.
My goodness. My gosh, that takes a control of something like to handle that.
The major lines were Boland's.
Okay.
And then in the machinery department, of course, John Deere.
Yes.
And then MTD.
MTD, what is that?
Modern Tool and Die.
Oh, okay.
That's a product line.
Oh, okay.
And pig rings.
And
Someone here who added a little excerpt to the list that was given there, and he'd like to give that again, please. Identify yourself.
They also had, like pig,
Name your name.
Edmund Schultz.
Thank you,
They
Edmund.
also sold pig rings, bull rings.
Really?
Yes. You name it, they had it.
Oh my God. Now, ear tags and the whole thing too for cattle?
Yes, yes.
My goodness.
Log chains, yeah, shovels, picks.
Now, as far as who decided to make the decision to carry these certain products, was there somebody that would say, well, gee, we could use this and it would sell? Or,
I don't know.
but everything you had there, my goodness, that was a lot of things to take care of. Thank you very much. Hey, Alfred?
At the last meeting, Mr. Albrecht said there was an earthquake in Alaska,
Yes.
and then the well stopped running. He didn't know when it was, and I read an article afterwards of disasters that happened in our continent.
Yes.
And that was in 1964 when that happened in Alaska.
That big earthquake in Alaska. And that stopped the spring water from...
Yeah, they had a spring here behind the co-op.
Really? Look at that. Look at that. Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that.
Are you sure they didn't start?
Who can tell us a little bit of an incident that's kind of related to the natural wonders of the world here. And if you can give us that information, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Years ago, one of our mechanics, Clarence Brookson, before he worked at the co-op, he worked for the railroad. And where the mill stood and everything, it was all trees. And he came through the woods for about, 500 feet in front of where our first old shop was. And there they got fresh water out of this well.
This is overflowing well, artesian, yes.
Then when that earthquake was in Alaska, that thing overflowed, bubbled up about 2 feet high.
Okay.
Real white for at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And after that, it died down again.
Yes.
But that was our big source of water down there.
Okay. And what you said you used the water for what?
We used that water for putting calcium chloride and putting fluid in tractor tires.
Ah, I see. Okay.
This is a few years ago, like,
Yes, yes.
50s.
Okay. But you say this water came out whitish color?
Real whitish, yeah.
Okay. And then it settled down into its normal flow after many weeks?
It was very good tasting water.
Okay.
When it wasn't white.
Okay. That would indicate some problems, yeah.
Yes, it would.
And Melvin, you remember that too?
I remember when that whole street had artesian wells.
Oh, really?
About 60 of them in the village of
And then in '62, I think it was, when they started flowing again. They had shut down after the canning company drilled that 16-inch well, then they all stopped flowing.
Oh, really?
And then afterwards, when that earthquake was, they started flowing for a while again, a couple months.
Okay. All right.
Arthur Weiser's Tavern had an overflowing, Elmer Culp's house, and I think Rhodes had one too.
There's still a dozen of them in the village that are overflowing.
Could you name those three names one more time?
Rhodes Tavern,
Okay. And that's located where?
right up the street from the co-op.
Okay. And what the other was?
And Elmer Culp's house, which was on the south side of Stoltenberg store.
Okay.
And then across the street, Weiser's Tavern.
Okay. And they all had that overflowing water there. Okay, very good. Thank you. The lady here has a question in regard to some information that was given by Melvin. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin, Yeni, I would like to know where the locations were of these taverns that you just spoke of, and my name is Cathy Sixel.
Okay, thank you,
They were
Cathy.
all on that street.
Yes.
These taverns and places, houses that I mentioned were all on Hickory Street, which is the one leading to the co-op.
Okay. So the first tavern you mentioned, which was Weiser's, I believe you said?
Right.
Okay, what tavern or what business is there now? Do you know?
It's the Hickory House now.
It's the Hickory House now.
And Wagner's were the one that started at the tavern.
Okay.
And then they had the coal yards and lumber yard there.
Okay,
And then Weiser rented the tavern from them, I guess.
okay. And then Mr. Culp, he lived on the same
He
street?
lived in the next block, just out of the store.
Okay. And anybody live there now, or is it a business now?
It's still a house now.
Okay. And the other?
Duplex.
Duplex, okay. And the other building that you mentioned?
Is where the old bank was to the north.
Okay. And the name again was what?
Grote,
And Grote?
Grott.
Okay. And what is it now as far as?
It's still a tavern, but Bugs runs it.
Bugs runs it, huh?
Klein.
And do you know what the tavern's name is now?
Klein's, Bugs. Eddie Free used to live right next to there.
Oh, he did? Okay, okay.
Yeah, right next to where this, next to the driveway was about a 8x16 cement form. And that time Miller's owned that tavern.
Okay.
I asked him what that cement was. That was the scale for scaling cattle. There was no Hickory Street. That was, pictures I saw, it's all cattle pens. Used to go down to the co-op. You
Okay.
couldn't get down there.
Okay.
All cattle pens.
All cattle
Next to
pens.
the depot, yep.
And that was for the railroad that they would load
Railroad.
and unload them on it? Okay, very good. Thank you, Ed.
And we lived right next door. And the only thing I didn't like the railroad was when 10 after 10, when that news is on television, that dumb train went through, I couldn't hear the news. It irritated me.
Very good, Ed. Thank you. To give us some information in regard to some occasions that were presented by the co-op. Go right ahead.
Cathy Wagner, and I have here a copy of an article from the Sheboygan Press, Friday, January 18th, 1980, and it encompasses open house and John Deere Day at the Cleveland Co-op.
Okay.
And it has pictures here of Howard Vogel, who was then manager, and
Okay.
here are some of the mechanics, and here's the office people.
Okay.
And then that day they had all kinds of farm implement open house specials,
Okay.
and they had movies.
Okay.
Where did you hold this open house?
In the shop.
At the
Co-op.
at the co-op.
But a lot of that stuff was at Wimmer's Tavern.
No, we
No,
never had
no,
Deere.
not
Shuri,
Never had it there.
Shuri had it there.
Time, please, about the article that's what's the
Newly
new-
remodeled and enlarged implement department.
Okay.
In addition to the Cleveland Cooperative's machinery department building. They've added a whole lot of space.
Who would like to indicate some information she's got? Go right ahead, please.
Dorothy Anderson, and my dad was a printer, and I think that's where these came from.
Okay.
And
Your dad's name was what, please?
Urban Mill.
Okay.
And then I went through some of the little papers I have at home, and every time there was a Cleveland cooperative on it, I brought it along.
Before you begin, what was the name of the paper your dad put together here?
The Lakeland Reporter.
The Lakeland Reporter. And that came out of Hika?
It must have,
Okay.
because he
That's
was,
where his business was, right?
yes, right
Okay.
down in Hika.
Okay. And could you give us a street number of his location?
Lincoln Avenue.
All right. And what does the paper say here about
Oh,
the...
this is, I picked up the ones then that had the Cleveland Cooperative on. Forage Master Self-Unloader,
Okay, and what year would this be?
59 or 60. Some of these are 59, some of these are 60.
All right, very good.
And then,
something else there?
yeah, here's one telling about the top quality farm seeds.
Okay. And that, what year was
Well,
that?
that was all, either 59 or 60.
All right. Okay.
Here's one about Midland 41% liquid nitrogen, nitro grow.
Okay.
And the week special, the paint that they sold.
Well, they sold paint too?
Yeah.
My gosh. Heavens. Okay.
And here's a great new line of Midland motor oils.
Okay.
And then apparently there was a free to all farmers and their families were expecting you on John Deere Day.
All right.
That would be January 12th of 69. Wait a minute. they don't put a date on each page.
All right,
This is 59,
59.
yeah.
Okay, and that was held at
It was
Gretz's.
Gretz's, January 12th at 10 in the morning.
Yep.
We're featuring the new farm equipment of the Cleveland Cooperative.
Okay. And did you ever attend one of those?
I don't think so. I was in Milwaukee at that time.
Okay, okay, very good. Thank you very much. And by the way, the Gretz's, what was that formerly in the past, that building?
Gretz's is up in St. Tourist Inn.
Tourist Inn, and
Up in St. Wendel.
St. Wendel,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And what highway was there at that time when Gretz's was there?
141.
Okay, very good, thank you, good. Lady who would identify herself, and she's going to relate something here with the things that took place.
Edith Lutzy, and I know my husband was on the board for a while, and when these big days were the John Deere days and whatever they had, then the women always had to help in the kitchen
Yeah.
for the food.
Okay, that was for those big, those days that they had this display going on.
What
Okay.
she was,
Now, you mentioned your husband. Would you be able to his name, please?
Roland Lutzy.
Well, let's see, and how many years was he on the board? Do you remember?
Could have been
And
about
what year
6 or
span he
8.
had there?
I had that at home, and I didn't think we needed that tonight.
Okay,
He was on the board for, I would say about 6 or 8 years, yeah.
all right, okay. Very good, thank you. Who had been telling me a little bit about the advertisements that took place?
Well, I just wanted to add, Dorothy Anderson, I just
Yes.
wanted to add, that was in the time of having like too long for your telephone,
Oh, yeah.
or 3 short and 1 long.
No kidding, there it is.
Our household one was 4 short.
Very good. Thank you very much, that was well done, good. Who would like to identify yourself, please?
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I want to know the employees, if they remember the time it either was annual meeting or John Deere days, and it was up at Stagey's, and there was a snowstorm or that ice storm, and there was no electricity. Maybe somebody can talk about that, or Audrey can remember that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and then also Eddie has a picture of the time when they had the open house in the John Deere building.
All right.
Where all the chairs are set up for that day.
Okay.
And if you also remember one time they had, I think it was John Deere days, and they had the guy down the street that would be Hickory House today made some kind of hot tamale. And we couldn't even, did we use it?
No.
No, we had to throw all this hot tamale out. As you came into the building, there was such a stench. And that was one of the later years, too, when it was that new building, right?
Yeah, when Yerkes made that.
When Yerkes made this. And we'll let some of the employees talk about that, or the
Okay.
former employees.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who has some information, that question on the floor about various weather conditions that took place on John Deere days.
No, it was on March 4th, 1976.
Okay,
We had a sleet storm where
okay,
and it took current out. I worked in the middle of that day, and we didn't have no power, so I
Okay.
went home and they said, when there's power, I'll come back again.
okay,
And then John Deere had their annual meeting
all right,
at Stagey's. Was it on a Wednesday or Thursday night, about 2 weeks later, and they still didn't have current,
really?
So then they had a generator up there at that time.
Okay,
And about a week later, after the annual meeting, then they finally got current in Cleveland.
my goodness,
Where at home I was lucky, we were out of current only 6 hours.
wow.
Current was bad, but
Boy, there had to be some cold homes and other problems.
they had other problems. But I was fortunate that way.
Wow, okay,
Then the following week, we took our feet up, picked it up and hauled it to Kiel, and they ground it for us and hauled it back.
okay, okay,
Until we had power in our mill.
sure, sure, I'll be doggone. Well, that's a unique catastrophe there, I'll tell you. Thank you very much. Like to say a few words, she'll introduce herself, please.
Audrey Ertl. I lived about 10 miles west,
Okay,
and we were out of electricity for 7 days.
my
We
God,
moved in with my son. We lived closer to Cleveland. They were only out 3 or 4 days. But the John Deere day, they had tractors set up running generators, and I don't know if you know how big Tourist Inn was.
Yes, I've been there, yes, and
They had generators with tractors running
Yes.
so that the lights were on, they could have food, and it was all run by the tractors and the generators.
wow.
Well, there were places where the electric wires went like this. They had
Okay.
electric company had to first change the wires because they were stretched so much.
Stretched so much from all that ice, huh?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Now, one more thing.
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Manitowoc Herald Times,
Mhm.
January 18th, 1980. And this
Okay.
is a picture of when we had our open house.
All right,
And that's Jay Fitzgerald,
all right.
Eddie Free, William Samsey, and Fred Bitter.
Okay.
They worked in the shop.
Was there another gentleman that was on the picture too? There was one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the other side of the pool.
crease there.
That was James Coogle.
Okay. We don't want to miss him.
We don't want to miss anybody. And then
Okay.
this is the invitation that went
Oh, wonderful.
out to all the dealers and all the people that we thought would be interested.
Sure.
And
Oh, good. Could you read that all for me, please?
sure. You and your family are cordially invited to John Deere Farming Frontiers, a film program devoted to the latest developments and research in agriculture. A presentation by your John Deere dealer, Cleveland Co-op, 1 and 8 p.m., Wednesday, 23rd January 1980, at the store, Cleveland, Wisconsin. Lunch will be served following each show. Help us celebrate our grand opening.
Okay. Now, as far as how many days were they providing this occasion? Was it
Well,
a
was
one
just
one day?
1 day, and it was 2 times in 1 day. Once in the,
oh.
It went all day, but the filming was at 10 o'clock in the morning and then
Okay.
later in the day.
All right.
And the food was, we had ordered food, and it was brought in, and we took care of it here.
Yes.
And this hot tamale that they talked about,
Yeah,
we were
let's-
running out of food.
Yes.
And we called Yerkes and asked if they would have anything, and they had something in the freezer. Well, they could have left it there because once it thawed out, it was,
Oh, no.
they evidently put it in the freezer when it was too warm. Because that'll happen, then
Okay.
it spoils.
Oh, no.
And
it-
we just had to flush it down the toilet. It just was too bad.
Too bad, huh? Oh, my goodness.
But it turned out we had a great time without it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Who would like to say a few words? Go right ahead, please.
I'm Edmund Schultz. I had one of the first generators that they had and during that ice storm.
Okay.
And our neighbors all needed help. Most of them didn't have any generators,
Sure.
so I went from one farmer to the next.
Wow.
Whenever they milked, I milked there, and then I went to the next one and milk. Then when the milk truck bulk dump come, I had to go back and forth again.
My God.
And then at night, when I come home to do my own chores, I set the silo unloader on, got pumps, my generator was gone. I had
Oh.
to get a generator from somebody else.
Oh, no. You were helping everybody, and then all of a sudden it'd come back on you.
Yeah.
Oh, my
They
goodness.
forgot to put enough oil in the transmission and the gears
Oh, no.
went haywire.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that.
Oh, no. Well, thank you very much for that story. That's a personal one. Thank you. Identify himself. Go right ahead, please.
Okay, Eddie Free, we're talking about Eugene Weiser started off with this ice storm. Well, it happened that we had this ice storm in past Lakeland College, all the highline wires were down for at least 2-3 miles.
Okay.
And so happened that the Saturday before our John Deere show, my cousin got married up at Stege's or Hell's, wherever it was then.
Okay.
They had little portable generators all over the place. And they couldn't use the broaster, the lights in the hall were dark.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then we had to have a John Deere show. And these farmers all tell us, them 25 kW generators, we'll run everything. We got one from Fritz Westermeyer, hooked a 2640 on there, 70 horse tractor, that'll run anything. Got up there, started hooking stuff to it, darn tractor croaked. Couldn't pull it. Took it down to the shop, we checked the horsepower, 74 horse on there. Well, I put them farmers all out of business. Then we put a 125 horse tractor on there
Yes,
and hooked the wires from the basement right out onto the generator.
yeah,
And I think 3 times we tripped the 100 amp breaker, but we ran the hall, the broaster, the house, everything
really?
up there. And they had like 23, at least 23 one-horse motors on there. Didn't all run at one time, but no problem.
My God. Now, what kind of a tractor was this? A brand?
John Deere.
That was a John Deere.
Question
What
like
else?
You lose your camera if you.
What was the model number? Do you know offhand on that one?
Yeah, 4240.
4240. And she had the horses to take care of the problem.
125 horse, that'll run it.
That'll do it.
Once in a while, that tire lifted off the ground in that generator, but
Really?
Took care of it.
That much torque it takes?
oh yeah,
Oh, my God.
that's only a 25 kW with 25,000 watts.
Now, did you guys, did John Deere sell the generators too?
No,
They didn't.
they were Kato light generators.
Okay. Say the name again, please.
Kato light,
Cato Light? Okay.
we
And
sold them down there too.
you did sell them? Okay. And that was for farmers to buy and purchase?
But our neighbors all moved out too. We had, all that was wrong with us, some fuse tripped and he wouldn't put it back in for a week.
Okay.
But we had no problem. I went to work and put 2 12-volt batteries on the furnace, hot water furnace.
Okay.
Hooked the high limit switch, the regulator, and the thermostat together. No problem. Couldn't watch television though.
Very good, thank
That's all I
you.
can tell you.
One here who is going to go a little bit back in time, and he's going to identify himself and give us that information. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Walter Chris, and at that time I didn't work for Sure Motors, but they had John Deere days at Stropman's Winter Garden. Must have been about the middle 30s until
Really?
40, and I started working for them as 1946. And John Deere days were held up at the center, where what is now the senior center. And I worked there
Okay.
until 51.
Okay,
They
okay,
had them there most of the time.
all right. And did you attend that or were part of it, or?
Sure, part of it.
Okay. Very good, very good. Thank you,
They
Wally.
had it right in the showroom.
All right. And that was what years again, please?
From 46 to, when did it go up? They get 51, so. Oh, I worked there till 51, but at
Okay.
53, then John Deere went to the co-op.
Oh, okay, okay, very good. Thank you very much. He'll identify himself one more time and continue, please?
I'm Walter Chris, and you wanted to know about the Schurer brothers?
Yes.
There was the Schurer's Tavern, which is Hika Bay now.
Okay,
And these boys were from that tavern. The garage was right in back of it.
all right,
And Eddie ran the business, and Artie was the mechanic.
okay,
And it's had Hudson, Essex, Terraplane. In the middle 30s, he took on John Deere.
okay.
We used to, in the back room, or nail together manure spreaders.
Oh, for,
If the bolts didn't fit, we'd use the bigger hammer.
you worked it in there some way, yeah?
That's all right.
Did they handle all kinds of things like manure spreaders, harrows, tractors?
Quack diggers.
Okay,
Biggest is quack diggers.
You look young on there.
Well, you had Hudson Motor Car.
okay,
In 46, they moved up to the center.
Okay.
Eddie built a house right in back of it.
all right.
And the
good.
house that's moved is down in Cleveland now on your street.
There's a
Okay.
Schultz living in there on Park.
You have a gentleman here, he'll identify himself, he's got a little bit of information to share. Go right ahead.
Eddie Schurer's house ended up in our neighborhood in the next street to the west. And I don't know really who's living in it now. Next to Eddie Dillman.
Okay. Is that on
Yeah, Maple Street.
Maple Street there? Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Here where the county shop is now.
Yes.
He also sold Chevy cars for maybe a year.
What kind,
Hudson, Terraplane, and Chevy.
and Chevy. Okay, so he had the whole line. He had farm things to sell and he had vehicles to sell. Okay. Did you ever work there or do anything?
No.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Who would like to identify himself, please?
Edmund Schultz.
Yes.
You know, when the John Deere co-op took over the John Deere business,
Yes.
and Walter Siemers was president, and he bought, I think, one of the first 70 John Deeres, right? And he bought that under conditions that he had to go out and demonstrate so many hours.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Now, he was a regular farmer,
Yeah.
and he bought this, and he got a deal, and he had to go out and, okay, go ahead,
And
please.
he put up quite a show once in a while.
No
The
kidding.
tractor really did wonders. Our place is a lot of red clay,
Yes.
and they brought him up there, and he had a 3-bottom plow behind there.
Sure.
And when he was plowing them red clay hills, them tires were this flat. And then after a while, I bought a 730,
Okay.
and I thought had a 3-bottom plow behind there too, and I had red clay,
Yeah.
and I got to them red clay, and by golly, couldn't hardly pull it. And I told that to Howard,
Yeah.
and Howard said, there must be something wrong with your tractor. Can we bring you one up? I said, sure. So they put one on the diameter, and they brought it up,
Yeah.
hooked onto the plow, got up to the hill, and it said knock, knock, and a couple bolts were broken in the wheel. Now I know there's nothing wrong with your tractor.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. You're here, and Mrs. Ertl is going to tell us all about what all took place here and what was set up here. Go
Well,
right
the
ahead.
chairs were set up, and there was a, for filming,
Oh, yes.
they showed the film. See, when they were done showing the film, then the people could go eat, and the food was in the back. It was like a buffet.
Okay.
You went through the line, got your food, and you went to sit down.
All right.
And then besides the food, there was coffee and milk and soda and juice and
Okay.
beer. Don't forget beer.
Did John Deere, did they give any prizes away for this occasion for
John
attending?
Deere gave some prizes. The co-op gave some prizes.
Okay.
And there were a lot of prizes.
Okay.
And there were even, see, John Deere had a big line of children's toys.
Okay.
And kids, I had a son that couldn't live if he didn't go to John Deere Day because maybe he could win one of those John Deere toys.
Sure, sure.
So,
Very good, very good.
and this is
Yes.
a picture of the old display area, and this is when they sold snowmobiles.
Oh, my gosh. You guys were into everything here.
John Deere was big. Snowmobiles, John Deere snowmobile equipment, helmets,
Really?
gloves,
Yes. Yeah.
jackets,
Jackets, too.
chainsaws. I've got a John Deere jacket,
Okay.
a yellow one with green John Deere on it,
Okay.
and I have a John Deere bicycle that has a flat tire, and I haven't been able to find a tire to fit it because they aren't in bicycles anymore.
Okay.
But John Deere was
the thing.
that was the thing. It
They
was
were they were promoters.
yes.
Okay, very good. And do you remember how long the co-op was affiliated with John Deere? Was there a point where they quit being part of your system, or were they always there for you?
No, I think it was 91, wasn't it? 92? When John Deere moved out?
John Deere didn't move out. Bruce Tree, our manager, kicked us out.
Oh.
Okay, we got to have that story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eddie Freewood, because see, I retired in June of 91.
Okay.
And the auction and John Deere leaving
Yes.
happened after that.
Okay.
And it was poor management.
Okay. All right.
And the manager thought he was a smart guy, but he found out that he was no match for John Deere. I mean, they're just going to move out.
Yeah.
They're not going to irritate themselves with him.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Okay, we got a gentleman pictured here at his desk apparently, and he has a nickname, but we'd like to know his real name and then some stories that go with it. And if you'll identify yourself, please.
This guy, this is Edwin Schultz,
Yeah.
and this Norman Gerhard, the old clown knacker. I don't know why where he got that name from.
Okay.
And like Eddie was saying, he was a great hunter.
Okay.
He'd go crow hunting, and he'd have a bushel and a half of crows. That was nothing for me.
Okay.
Get on the weekend.
Okay.
So then, all the mischief we used to get in, I think Eddie was in on some of them too. We used to get these Murphy samples for fertilizer, for feed, I mean.
Murphy samples.
They were about this big,
Okay.
We're supposed to give them to the farmers, but we had a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
We had an older guy named Alfred. He worked there. He was a more than a cleanup man. But whenever you get under a beam someplace, we'd throw one against the beam and everything down his neck. And one day we tied his car tied to the railroad track.
He tied his car to a railroad track.
He couldn't move the dumb thing.
At Freezer.
What?
At Freezer.
Fraser, yeah, he tied it to the railroad track. He walked around, but the grass was long.
Yeah.
He walked right over the chain, but he never saw
Never saw that it was tied up.
He got in the car again. And he
Try-
says, well, you're going to pay for fixing the car. Oh, and nothing went wrong with it. So then we used to argue with Doreen a lot.
Doreen. Who is Doreen?
What's her last name?
Gurkey, and now
Gurkey. No, it's Rosenthal. That's right. We used to argue with her a lot, but some guys stuck her in a waste paper basket, but I didn't.
Stuck her in a waste paper basket.
I don't know who did that. Was that you, Eddie?
No, it wasn't me.
I know somebody did.
Bobby knows.
So, I don't know.
Any other things that happen in this mild office atmosphere?
Yeah, and with these samples, then Clarence, he'd come out. There was a bunch of us guys. I mean, it wasn't doing anything. It was a snowy day. It wasn't very busy.
Yeah.
We were all throwing samples. Then when he come out to ball us out, we had everything running, and he come out there. He couldn't ball us out. He had to laugh. So that's what a mischief we got in.
So that was the little fun times at the old
yeah.
co-op there. Thank you very much. Young lady, you got a question? Right ahead, please.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I would like to know, Mr. Zill, what Knacker did.
He delivered gas.
He delivered gas?
Gas, fuel oil.
Okay.
To the farmers.
Okay.
Yeah, rural route.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was his job, and
That was his job. That's what he job, yeah.
apparently everybody found he was a guy they
He
could
did
play a
not
few
but
tricks
grub.
on.
He just, well, you can see his truck here, but he had a Ford truck and he was a Chevy man. He did not but grumble with a dumb Ford. Every day he'd grumble with a dumb Ford.
Thank you very much. Good job. Give us some information. Go right ahead, please.
Well, I started here in '69, so it must have been the early '70s. Norman Gerhardt, the gas driver,
Yes.
we already had the radio system between the trucks,
Okay.
and we couldn't get them.
Oh.
And then somebody called. It was about like 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
He died on the job.
Really?
He died on his front lawn.
That's correct.
But he was,
He died at home on a lawn.
Died at home.
yeah, but they said he had just filled fuel oil next door.
No, he died at home that time.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. The gentleman will identify himself. We got a gentleman that had worked for the co-op and is a,
Okay. Eddie Free. We're talking about Norman Gerhardt, our gas truck driver who had a thumb 1.5 inches wide from trying to start that Ford truck, and he always was saying, yidda, and that dang Ford wouldn't start. Anyhow, one morning he came to work, remember that? He wanted to know where the village limits was. Remember that? He wanted to know where the village limits was. We didn't know no village limits. He wanted to know where the village limits was, so they could shoot this dumb bird out there, a deer or something. We had no idea where the village limits. Really, what was his last name, I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, one day it was right about noon, and I know he had to go to a fire meeting in the afternoon, and said goodbye to him, and he went home, and a half hour later, he was walking to his house, and he dropped dead of a heart attack right going to his house from the car,
my
on the
God.
road.
Isn't that something? Oh, that can go. Thank you. Very good. Lady here who did some work in the office, and she'd like to indicate what her duties were and how they had to handle it at that time.
I'm Doris Rosenthal.
Thank you.
And I worked in the office, and everything was really done by hand. And let's see.
What years?
I worked there about 4 years and
Okay.
quit in 1958.
All right. But as far as the filing systems that they had, was there anything unique the way they handled the filing for customers, farmers, and so forth at all?
It was just all, everybody had their tickets in their file, you know, and that's about
Okay.
it, yeah.
Now, did you have an isolated group that you worked with only? Was it pertaining perhaps only to feed type things, that the farmers who had feed, that was your duties, or was it everything?
It was everything.
Okay. So, and as far as equipment, like typewriters and things like that, anything unusual there?
I think it was an adding machine and typewriter.
Okay. And was the typewriter manual or was it electric by that time?
No, it was a manual, I
Was
think.
it manual yet? Okay, okay. And who was your immediate supervisor or boss?
Well, Howard Vogel was the accountant at that time.
Okay. And you were sort of like his secretary then?
Right.
Okay. And was he a good man to work for?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And how many other secretaries were in the office with you?
It was just me, but Clarence Culp's wife would help at the end of the year when there was more work to do.
All right. Okay.
So that was about it.
That was about it, and you handled the whole thing. My goodness, a lot of work.
Right.
And what was your hours that you came in and say noon and when you had how long for lunch and things like that at that time?
It was, oh, I can't remember. 7 to 5.
7 to 5. Okay, okay. Now, were you salaried or did you have were you given a wage?
I was given the hour wage.
Hour wage. Okay, very good. Would you recall how much you made at all at that time, hourly? It'd be interesting to know.
Oh, it was, I think it was about $1.99.
Okay, very, very good.
That was right.
Well,
I was overpaid.
boy, we got some heckling in the back here. Now, as far as schooling and so forth, did you have some additional schooling in accounting at all that you've
No,
done?
I just graduated from high school.
Oh, you did?
I took up accounting or bookkeeping and
Okay.
things
All
like
right.
that in high school.
And what year did you graduate, if I may ask, and what high school was it?
I was Central High School in Sheboygan.
Okay.
In 1952.
Okay, very good, very good. And you enjoyed your job there?
Sure.
All right.
Lots of fun.
Okay. Okay, and I was going to ask this another question here. As far as lunch hours, did you have bring your own lunch to the place, or did they have some like a dining area to work to eat with?
You had to bring your own lunch, or I went home because I lived close by.
Okay, all right. Did you have a family at that time already, or
No,
were you
I
married?
wasn't married yet.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just out of high school. Okay, very good, thank you. A young lady here from St. Aizens, and she'd like to say a few words. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Audrey Ertl, and like Doreen, I went to Central High School. And I graduated in 1945. June 18th, I'm having my 60th high school class
Really?
reunion.
Wow, congratulations. Very good. And what high school was that again, please?
Central High School.
Central High School
Now
also?
it's Sheboygan South.
Okay, I see.
But at that time, it was Central High School.
Okay. Now, you also were a secretary
Yes, I started in 69.
in 69, okay.
I took business training, bookkeeping, typing, the whole thing.
All right.
And I didn't, after high school, I went to California for a short time.
All right.
Worked as a teletype operator on the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe.
Oh.
And that was too far away from home.
Yeah.
I might as well admit I got homesick, and after
Sure.
4 months, I came home.
Sure.
And then I worked in an insurance office.
Okay.
And then after I was married for 20 years, and my children were all in school, that's when I started at the co-op. And that's when I remembered what it was about bookkeeping that I didn't like very much when I was in high school.
Okay.
Because, at the insurance office, I didn't do a lot of bookkeeping.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have...
Before you quit on that, who was your immediate boss at that time?
Clarence Culp.
He was there also? Okay.
He used to drive me crazy because he used to check up how far I was. See, it was a big board, about this big.
Yes.
And you had a big sheet.
Yeah.
And you put a piece of copy black emery paper on there. and then you put the customer's card on there, and then you wrote out the date and their invoice number and what the amount was, and then you carried it on. And see,
Okay.
you had not only had to keep track of the customer's charges
Yes.
or cash,
Yeah.
you had to keep track of how much went into their stock record
Oh,
every time.
so when, as these customers, they were actually stockholders to
They
some
were
degree.
stockholders.
Oh, my goodness. So they were waiting for a check at the end of a year or something?
Yes, they wanted their 20%. Of course, there were some of them that thought it was a bunch of baloney, that 20%, because they have, the government set up the 20%.
Yeah.
The 80% went into the stock records, but the 20% we had to pay out. That was considered what they had to pay on that 80% that they were getting.
Okay, I lost you there for a minute. Could you go over that one?
Okay. See, we were giving them the stock record, the stock,
Okay.
but the 100%, they only got 20% in cash. 80% went into a stock record.
Okay. Okay.
And see, so there were two records we had to keep.
Yes. Yes.
And when we went from doing it by hand, the first we only had an Olivetti adding machine and a typewriter.
Mhm.
And the first copy paper where we made copies of the customer's
Yeah.
account
Yeah.
was onion skin.
Oh.
And you had to be careful because if that took too long to go through the machine, it scorched it. It wasn't the world's
So all your work was for nothing, or that was a
Well,
copy?
you had to do it over
Do it
again.
over. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
it
then
was-
one day Howard Vogel wanted something copied. And I said, Howard, that's too heavy. That won't go through. Well, he wouldn't believe me, so he put it in, and the whole thing scorched black. But then, we had a Burroughs accounting machine after
Oh
that.
yes. Okay.
It's a great big outfit,
Mm-hmm.
a console. It had big rolls of paper. And
Okay.
then you fed in, you put the customer's count in, and it did it with
Okay.
the only difference between doing it by hand and doing it with the Burroughs machine, when you push the button, it did the totals.
Okay.
Because when you do it by hand, you have to sit there and add all
Yeah,
those
yeah,
columns
yeah.
up, and then they have to come out across the bottom.
Oh my goodness.
But, and then from there, we went to, Midland had a computer. And they set us up, we did our work with little cassettes. This told the computer what we wanted to do, and this was where the work was.
Okay.
Then at 5 o'clock, we had to put in another cassette that
Yeah.
told the computer, and we hooked it up with the telephone. And it went to Minneapolis.
My goodness.
And they did the work, and in 5 or 6 days it came back.
Okay.
And then after that, we got an in-house computer. But see, I was advantaged. Now the kids have to know how to use these computers, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they trained us. They sold it to the co-op,
Mhm.
and then they showed us how to do it.
Okay.
In fact, when we went to the computers, this Olivetti, we had our in-house computer, and I says to the guy, are we going to get anything on a trade-in for that Burroughs machine? And he said, well, I suppose I can give you $5. We paid $15,000 for it about 5, 6 years before that. The bank at Cleveland bought machines just like that. So one day I asked Charlie Culp,
Yeah.
what did you do with your Burroughs machines? He says, I don't know, but I think somebody's using them for a boat anchor out in Lake Michigan. So, they had...
Technology really took its
Yeah,
toll.
a lot of money, and when they change, they don't give you anything for the
Yeah,
old
yeah.
equipment. So,
Okay, well, very good story. You got something else there,
well,
Audrey?
this is just a picture of the John Deere shop. See, the John Deere shop sold oil and all these different things. The co-op sold oil also, but this is the shelves of the John Deere shop.
Okay, very good. Very neat. Now, I got a question also in regard to Midland. When did they, now all the while I've been hearing John Deere is part of the system here, and they seem to be sort of the prime, I'll call it, addition to this co-op.
Yeah, well, Midland was hardware store and the feed and the fertilizer, and the John Deere shop was across the parking lot,
Okay.
and that was all John Deere.
And, okay, now Midland, where did they come out of? What?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. And
And I know Clarence Culp used to get upset because they had these specials. Every month they had a special. And they decided what the special was going to be, and they decided what the price was going to be. And Clarence would get upset because he says, we're not making any money on those specials.
Yes.
But Midland decided the price,
Yes,
and we
yes.
just had to go along.
Had to go along with it. Okay, very good, thank you.
And then,
Oh, yes, you got something?
well, I remember when the John Deere shop started getting big machinery,
Yeah,
and they had a truck where they hauled them, a flatbed where they hauled the machinery on. And this was I don't remember what the piece of machinery was, but it was something that they pulled around on the ground, and the wings went up in the air.
yes.
And they went out, and they got as far as the West Washington on the corner, Fremont and West Washington.
Okay,
And they couldn't go any farther because the electric wires weren't high enough. So they, with big poles, they went with trucks on both sides, and they pushed the wires up in the middle, and so they could get the truck out under the.
oh my goodness.
And then after that, the electric company, I guess, took care of
the low wires there.
the low wires.
Okay,
And there's one question I have for Eddie Free.
okay.
This is that 4240 that they were talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, the one that had the power to do the generator thing?
Yes, but this tractor, Eddie can probably tell you, this is a tractor that the co-op restored.
Oh, really?
So one of those, this was already restored when I started working here. So maybe
Okay.
one of these other guys can tell you about the restoring of that tractor.
Okay, very good, thank you. We've got an antique tractor here, and there's a story behind it, and this gentleman will identify himself and give us that information. Go right ahead.
Eddie Free. This tractor happens to be a John Deere AR 1935 model. One year, Howard Vogel was going to have this special on all our used tractors. And we're supposed to have 19 tractors in the yard. We couldn't find all, I could find 18. So we dug this rusty piece of junk out of the backyard and brought it in the shop, and we fixed her up.
Wow.
And we had rubber tires for that thing. It was in a couple of parades already.
Okay,
And I don't know where it is now. It's long gone.
okay.
But it ran pretty good.
And this is a project that
No,
was...
no. Yes, we just wanted that 19 used tractor to have for sale.
Sure, sure.
We can only find 18.
Okay.
And Jim Coogle bought my old Minneapolis
Still got it.
Z.
You
He
still
bought
got
one
it?
of other ones.
Let's hear a little story about that. Thank you, Ed. Okay, what was that all about?
Yeah, I resurrected a Minneapolis Z tractor. It was way in the back end of the lot. It was a heap of junk. And I asked Larry, Cuso Horse was our salesman. I asked him, I said, you got that thing for sale? I said, I'll take it off your hands. He said, yeah, for $100. He said, you can have it. So I bought it for $100.
Okay.
And I dragged it out of the corner, and I cleaned it all up and got it going, and I still got it.
Really?
Yeah.
And what year was that again?
Well, the tractor is about, I think it's about a 30s. No, that's about a 48. But
You can tell 'em
we
about that.
we did
That's
this.
a darn
We did that in 1970, 74.
Somewhere's around there.
Okay.
And,
Same time we fixed up a little engine.
Okay, this is the tractor you're looking at all, or
That's
is
the
this?
same.
no.
Okay.
Oh, here is the color picture of that
Oh, the
AR.
other, oh my goodness, hey. You guys did a wonderful job on that thing. Now, was your tractor also on steel, or was it already on rubber?
That was already on rubber.
And do you do this as a hobby, by the way, just for a personal thing?
I did.
You did. Very good. You still got it.
Still
You
have-
put it in parades at all?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. There's a hand up and he's got something to indicate. Go right ahead, please.
I was one of the first ones that bought 50 John Deere,
Okay,
and I still got it. So it was
really?
54 model, so it's 51 years old.
And that was a brand new model when you bought it?
Yep.
Okay, and you use it on your farm?
Oh, yes.
And
Still
what-
use it.
Still use it. What kind of horsepower or what is it?
About 29, huh?
About 26, 27 horse.
Yeah.
Okay, power takeoff, the whole thing, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, that's good that you kept that good thing.
It's running our 50th anniversary.
Oh, really?
And our 60th anniversary is in October.
Oh, coming up, huh?
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Add a question here?
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I would like to ask Jim Coogle and Ed Free if they remember the time that they were cleaning something and somebody nearly died out in the shop. If they can elaborate on this story.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Question came on the floor, and this gentleman will answer it, and he'll identify himself, please.
I'm Jim Coogle. We had an incident where an individual almost lost his life in cleaning a liquid manure spreader tank. And the fellow was inside the tank painting it.
Okay.
And he had a fan in there. And we were all busy in the shop, and this individual was inside the tank, and we could hear, we could hear some rustling around in there, and we thought he was really busy. And at the time, there was a phone call, or the parts boy, mechanic, came out and was asking about him. Where is he? I said, he's still in the tank. And there was no response. He called for him, and there was no response.
Uh-oh.
He was in that tank,
Oh.
and he was rolling around inside the tank trying to get out. He was being overcome by paint fumes.
Yes, yes.
So,
Wow.
Fred Bitter was, I think, one of the first ones that went in the tank first to get him out.
Yes.
And he almost didn't make it. I mean, he just got out just in time, and
Oh, my
when we
goodness.
finally got him out, we dragged him up on top of the tank, and Eddie and I went to the fire station to get some CO oxygen tanks
Yes.
to give him revival.
Wow.
And then the EMT people came in and took care of him.
What year was this, or do you remember?
Yeah, new shop.
80.
He didn't die, huh?
No.
Oh, no, he's still living.
Yeah, he's still living. But he was totally red with paint. He had black hair. He was solid red. I mean, all the way from head to foot.
Oh.
It's amazing that he
He made it.
Well, when he got to the hospital.
I don't know what happened.
Oh.
Of the story of a gentleman that got overcome by fumes, and this gentleman will identify himself too.
Okay, Eddie Free. Yeah, we were all working in the shop that day, and when Mike Kenny knew this customer's hired man pretty well, and he went down there to check on him, and he couldn't get out. And so after a while, we got him out of there, and we put him in the back of our van in the middle of the shop till the ambulance got there, and they hauled him to the hospital. And the person that owned this liquid manure tank had just picked up this paint at Sheboygan Paint Company, and no label on it. And the hospital was calling, wanted to know what was in that paint.
Yes.
Nobody could tell him. Things weren't friendly for a while.
Oh, man.
And he turned out okay, but they thought some of that stuff was blood. It was all red paint on him.
Yeah. But he looked like he was bleeding.
Epoxy paint. Very dangerous stuff.
Wow.
But he's doing good today.
Good. Well, that's a good ending to the story.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. To the floor here pertaining to any kind of company picnics or parties, and this gentleman will identify himself and give us that information.
Eddie Free. There's no company picnic. There's just the guys from the shop. Every Memorial Day we had our rock fry. I think the guys, you were there too, Eugene. One of the guys in the mill were invited.
No, Buster was there.
Yeah, Buster Clezzy was there. We had it by Kieselars and Mallow one year, and everybody got so roasted. Well, a couple of years after that, we had it by our place in Cleveland on Hickory Street. I remember frying brats and it was snowing like crazy outside
Okay.
on Memorial Day.
My God, well, yeah, I can imagine that happening, yeah.
And that, I don't know, that broke up after a while.
Okay, but you used to have little get-togethers on your own, impromptu things, and
Oh, yeah.
have some good times.
I can tell you about the
Okay.
real parties, the legitimate parties.
Oh, okay, very good, thank you. A question pertaining to parties that the company may have provided for their employees. Go right ahead.
This Audrey Ertl.
Yes.
And especially by the time we were over, the office moved from the store over to the John Deere shop. When the John Deere shop expanded, there was room for office. And that's when we moved over. And we had a conference room.
Okay.
And the thing that flabbergasted me, it didn't make any difference what kind of a meeting it was. You had to have food.
Okay.
Employees meeting, they wouldn't come if you didn't have food. So, and I know we had some of the things. We didn't have a lot of co-op picnics or
Okay.
co-op parties. You know, maybe something special. Maybe somebody's birthday, or maybe there was something special or something, and then we had
Okay.
lunch and things.
Sure, sure. Okay, I know that if we talked about this on the previous meeting, it was in regard to the stockholder meeting. Was there such a thing with
So
all?
that was the annual meeting.
That was the annual meeting. I see. Okay.
See, at that meeting, they could get a lot of them, we took the checks up there, and they could get the 20% at that time.
Okay.
But there was an annual report, and then the president would explain
All right.
how the co-op was doing. The manager would explain his part of it. Howard Vogel would explain the John Deere part of it, how we
Okay.
were doing.
All right.
And of course, then there was food and dancing.
Oh, okay.
It was,
It was
it was a lot of people.
Okay.
There were a lot of people came to that.
Okay. Very
I was really surprised when I started working, you know, that as long as you provided food and beer and, you know, refreshments, they showed up.
They were there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And there was just one thing.
Yes.
The co-op had shoes. I think they were Wolverine shoes.
Oh, they
And
sold shoes too?
Oh, sure. We sell boots and rubbers and anything, galoshes. But anyway, we sold Wolverine shoes, and you could get them in an Oxford or the high working shoe. Anyway, Stelzenberg had the same brand of shoes, and they were going out of shoes. They were selling out. And Mike Koenig from the parts department went down to Stelzenberg and bought a pair of their Wolverine shoes. And those shoes squeaked continuously. I told him it was because he didn't buy it from the co-op.
Very good. Thank you very much. You will identify herself, and she has a subject to talk about also.
Okay, Audrey Ertl, and I'm the John Deere toys. John Deere toys was a big thing. I remember one man came in one time and bought $400 worth of John Deere toys, and he wanted them put in a big box because he was going to put them in his attic. See, there's toy dealers that go around trying to buy all these old toys.
Yes.
And Mike Koenig, there were little John Deere tractors, and they came in little boxes, and Mike sold it to some dealer for $90. I says, my kids have some of those in their box. So I went home and got them, and I brought them to the co-op, and I said to Mike, will he take them just like this? He says, I've got some boxes. We'll put them in the boxes. But he only gave me $75.
Oh.
And then one of the co-op customers, Gilbert Bourne, he was a farmer, and then he sold insurance, and he was also a toy collector.
Okay.
And he was asking, you have any kind of old toys? I says, well, my kids have an old Midland truck. So I brought it down, and he looked at it. And I says, because it had the Midland name on it, just like a Midland truck.
Sure.
No, he says, I don't want it for that. It's an international. and International doesn't make those trucks anymore, or International isn't in business anymore. So he gave me $15 for it. Then Donald Sixel, Pinky, in one of his sheds, it had a dirt floor, and he happened to see that one of his boys had a Ford tractor, and it was buried in the dirt.
Yeah.
So he brought it down to the co-op, and see, in the John Deere shop, they had a power washer.
Sure.
So he power washed it all up, and he gave him $25 for it. And then these guys said, oh, I was a widow already by that time, and they said, oh, how you treat a poor widow, you know, giving her $15, and then he gave Pinky 25. But toys were a big thing.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Farmers would come in if they bought a big tractor,
Yeah.
and they wanted the little one,
Oh yeah.
the replica of it,
Okay.
but they didn't expect to pay for it.
Okay. Little little token of their good customer rating.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
When Cleveland and Kiel merged, it became East Central Co-op. And of course, the bookkeeper and the manager from Kiel became the bookkeeper and manager here. Donald Sixel was the manager, but he was made hardware manager. And I
Okay.
just did paperwork in the John Deere shop.
Okay.
And Larry Kieselhorst was the salesman, and he was trying to sell some farmers a piece of machinery. And I says to him, you think he's gonna buy it? He said, well, you know, there's all those dealers around. I don't know if I'm gonna be lower or not.
Yes.
A couple weeks later, he came in, and you could almost see the steam coming out of him. And I says, what's the matter? And he said, it seems the manager that we had hired
Yes.
to replace Howard Vogel,
Yeah.
when this man came in to buy some parts, he corralled him, and he sold him this piece of machinery for less money than what Larry had told him the price would be.
Okay.
As it turned out, Larry said, look up the invoice, and he wanted to know how much the guy actually paid.
Yes.
And now look up the invoice and what we have to pay the dealer, the manufacturer.
Yes.
He sold that piece of machinery, plus he took in a trade, you know, for another
Yeah.
piece, and he sold it for less than what we had to pay the manufacturer. I mean, how can you make money that way?
No. No. So
That
was the start of things. Huh?
That was the start of things.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Lady here, we would like to sort of round things out a little bit as far as what we talked about this evening, and then we'll say our farewells.
Well, I would like to thank everybody that came, and again, we have lots of history about the co-op, and it's nice that all these employees came, because they really were there, because I don't know much about it, and it was very interesting, and thank all of you. And as we end this evening, I would like to pay a tribute to our lost friend, Florence Kress.
Okay.
You know, Florence was a charter member, and we feel so sad that she's no longer with us. We started this group 5 years ago after I did the history for the celebration for the Township of Centerville, and Wally and Florence were the first people. They helped me with that history.
Okay.
And when we started this group, they said yes, and they came every time.
Yes.
And she was a wonderful resource, and we truly miss her.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, and I guess our next meeting, do we have a plan for that?
Okay. We were talking about it on the way down. How many of you people are going to be pretty busy in the month of July? You're always busy? Is everybody able to come in July?
What is the topic?
Oh, I never know. Oh, I never know. I think of it last month. We just continued about the co-op.
It's always the second Monday?
It's always the second Monday of the month.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll plan it for the second Monday of the month again, and then I'll send out a card. And do you think we've covered enough of the co-op now?
What date is it?
I don't know. I didn't bring a calendar along. Does
Some
anybody?
information in regard to our next meeting.
The meeting date will be July 11th, and I suppose I will try to get this room again because of the lighting.
Yes, very good.
This is the best room that we have for videoing. And how many of you want to get a card again, regardless of what this subject is? Sure, okay. And I also want to thank the people who have contributed to, for us to copy, for the mailing and so forth, because we really don't have funds, but we are going to have a fundraiser. Charlie, Jerry and I are going to be doing a fry at CR
Mobile station.
Mobile Station, July 23rd.
Right.
So if any of you are hungry, come and eat. There is that. Oh, it's on County C. You know, by I-43 where you turn off. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. We're going to be doing a little fry there too, because we're trying to get matching funds for AAL. So we have to show that we had a fundraiser. So we thought we would do this little thing, and then what is it? I think we have to do $2, and then they will match us with $1.
Yeah.
So.
July 23rd?
July 23rd, yeah.
The Saturday.
On a Saturday afternoon.
A white, hot, sunny day.
So don't eat breakfast.
No, don't eat breakfast.
Don't eat breakfast.
Come for dinner and eat a lot. Okay, and how do you want to end it?
Okay,
I also want you to ask Sylvia Gurkey her age.
Okay. On the floor, and how young are you, madam?
93.
93. Well, welcome to our historical group here. We enjoyed you, and we'd like to have you more often. Thank you.
I'm Cathy Sixel, and you know, I have a lot of pictures of the co-op, and I started to have them all copied, and I will have some more copied, and then I would like to know, some people would like to get together with me to put them all in a book, and to tell me what some of these pictures are, what the dates are, and so forth. Are any of you guys willing? Yeah, so when I get that far, I was wondering if somebody could help me, then we could have a whole book of it.
Okay, names of people and everything.
Names of people and what the event was, so forth, you know, and
Okay, good.
little history about it and so forth.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be signing off here, and we'll have the gentleman identify himself, please.
I'm Willard Matthias.
Thank you, Willard. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Edward Schultz.
Thank you, Edward.
Eugene Weiser.
Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate it. And who do you have here, please?
Audrey Erdl.
Audrey. Always welcome. Doing a fine job.
Thank you.
Marion Schultz.
Marion, thank you for coming.
Edmund Schultz.
Edwin, thank you for coming. By the way, happy anniversary ahead of time.
Yeah.
Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Alfred Weiser.
Alfred, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And who do you have here?
Eddie Free.
Ed?
Hi, Jerry.
Hi there. You did a good job. Thank you.
Melvin Yini.
Melvin, thank you again for coming. And you, sir?
Jim Coogle.
Jim, thank you for coming. Good job, too. And who do you have here?
Wagner.
Thank you, Cathy. You always do a very good job. Wally?
Walter Kress.
Wally Kress. Well, thank you very much for coming this evening. Good information tonight. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Edwin Rosenthal.
Thank you, Aaron. And who do you have here?
Doreen Rosenthal.
Thank you for coming. Nice information tonight.
Must I say it again?
Yes, you ma'am.
Valeria Gurkey.
Well, thank you for coming. We appreciate it very much. And who do you have here, please?
Dorothy Anderson.
Dorothy, thank you for coming. And who do you have here, please?
Charlie Bauer.
Charlie, thank you also.
Edith Litzy.
Edith, thank you for coming also. And I want to, again, thank everybody for coming out this evening and providing a lot of good information on our subject matter this evening. And I'm sure the next meeting we'll have something to work on also. And Cathy usually takes care of that. So I'll sign off here. Sign off.
Okay. Hey, Eddie, what did you start working for? Was it 98 cents an hour or $1 an hour?
Clarence told me he wanted to give me 98 cents. I told him to forget it. I won't start. The next morning he called me, I can start for $1.
And so, and then every time there was a raise, it was a 2-cent raise.
I got 6 raises that first year, total of 12 cents.
God, it was always 2 cents.
I think I started October 1st, I think you started October 4th, 1 year later.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know, it was real close, and I mean, the salary was like unreal,
It
right?
was unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, the raises were never good, and the benefits weren't that good either.
There weren't any.
No, yeah, there weren't any.
Stock options.
Oh, yeah.